My big brother is the prose of two school-going brothers. So here the narrator is the younger brother. We will read the text of the prose. My big brother. My elder brother was already older than me by 5 years, but only 3 grades above in school. He had also started going to school at the same age as I had, but when it came to important matters like education, he did not like to make haste. He wanted to build a strong foundation that could support a magnificent palace. So he completed in 2 years what could have been completed in 1 year. Sometimes it took him 3 years. If the foundation was weak, how could the building be strong? I was younger, and he the elder. I was 9 years old, and he was 14. It was his birthright to keep an eye on me, and it was incumbent upon me to regard his words as the law. He was very studious by nature and always sat with a book open before him. Perhaps it is to relax his tired brains that he would draw pictures of birds, dogs, and cats sometimes in his notebooks and sometimes on the margins of the textbooks. Sometimes he wrote the same name, word, and sentence 10 or 20 times. Sometimes he meticulously copied a poem in beautiful handwriting. Sometimes he conjured up such words which held neither any meaning nor any congruity. For example, I saw the following written in his notebook: Special Amina brothers. Actually, brother Radheshyam, Mr. Radheshyam, for an hour. Thereafter, he had drawn the picture of a man. I tried my best to solve the puzzle, but was unsuccessful. I did not dare to ask him. It would have been much too presumptuous on my part to have tried to decipher meaning in his creations. I did not like to study. To sit with a book even for an hour was to me a Herculean task. Whenever the opportunity presented, I would bound out of the hostel, rush to the playground. There I enjoyed myself by tossing stones in the air, flying paper butterflies, and if I had happened to meet a friend, then it would be sheer joy. We would climb up a wall and jump down, or sit on the gate and swing it to and fro as if we were driving a car. But the moment I re-entered the hostel room, my heart would give a lurch upon seeing the serious countenance of my brother. "Where were you?" would be his first question. This question was asked always in the same tone, and in reply I always maintained a silence. I do not know why, but I could never tell him that I had been playing outside. My silence was an admittance of my guilt, and elder brother had no other choice but to counsel me with words tinged with affection and exasperation. If this is how you try to learn English, you will keep learning all your life and never a sentence will you be able to speak. Learning English is not a joke, else everyone would have become proficient in it. You have to spend days and nights in learning English, and it is only then that you acquire proficiency. And what proficiency? Even great scholars cannot write a proper sentence in English. leave alone speak the language. You must indeed be very stupid that you do not learn English. Lesson. From my efforts, I work so hard. You can see that with your own eyes. If you cannot see, then there is something wrong with your eyes or with your intelligence. Have you ever seen me go out to the fairs or watch plays? Every day, cricket and hockey matches are played. I don't ever go to watch them. I spend my time studying and yet I remain in the same grade for 2 years and sometimes 3. Then how can you expect to pass by wasting away your time by playing? It takes me 2 to 3 years to make it to the next grade. You will remain in the same class for years together. If you wish to while away your time in such idleness, it would be better if you return home and play tip-cat to your heart's content. Why are you wasting father's hard-earned money? I would burst into tears. After listening to his discourse, I was guilty. Elder brother was skilled in the art of offering advice. He spoke eloquently and shot arrows of words that shattered my confidence. I was incapable of working hard, and for a moment I would consider returning home. I was willing to remain an ignoramus, but the very thought of studying day and night frightened me. But after a few hours, the dark clouds of despair would disperse, and I would resolve to study very hard. I would immediately draw up a timetable. How could I launch a project without first chalking out a plan? The timetable would be as follows: get up early in the morning, brush teeth at 6 a.m. and have breakfast, and then immediately sit down to study. Study English till 8 a.m. Mathematics for an hour after that. History from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Then meals, and school. Take 30 minutes rest after returning from school at 3:30. Studying geography from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. grammar. From 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. a stroll around the hostel for half an hour. English composition from 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. finish dinner, and then work on translation till 9 p.m. Hindi lessons for an hour. Other subjects from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. and finally sleep. But it is one thing to draw up a timetable and an altogether different matter to stick to it. The timetable would be awry on the first day itself. The welcoming greenery outside, the soft breeze, and the excited shouts of the football, kabaddi, and volleyball players would draw me to them. And once there on the playground, everything else was forgotten. After the play was over, I would return to the room on tiptoes so as not attract elder brother's attention. I had a naked sword hanging over my head at all times, but just as a human being remains attached to desires and cravings, even the fears of death and disaster continued to trouble him, I too could not forsake my love for sports, although I had to constantly listen to elder brothers' reprimands for it. The annual examinations were over. Elder brother failed, and I passed, and I stood first. Now only 2 grades separated elder brother from me. For a moment I felt like taunting him. What have your efforts come to? Look at me, I spend my time playing, and yet I have passed with good marks. But he was so unhappy that I felt pity for him. The very thought of taunting him was shameful. Yes, a change came over me. I felt proud of myself and gained in confidence. Elder brothers was ceased to be law for me. I began going to the playground without fear. If he tried to restrain me again, I resolved to tell him on his face. What great thing have you achieved through your hard work? I played all the while, but passed with flying colors. Although I never actually dared to speak these words, yet my actions spoke louder and made it clear that I was no longer scared of him. Brother realized this. He had a strong common sense. One day, when I returned to the hostel room for meals after playing tip cat the whole morning, he was ready for me to deliver his tirade. Just because you have passed with your good marks this year, the success has gone to your head. But dear brother, the pride of the greatest man have been shattered. What are you in comparison to them? You must have read Ravana. But did you learn any lesson from that story? It isn't enough to pass examinations. Real achievement lies in improving the intelligence. Ravana ruled over the world. Such rulers are described as Chakravartis. Today even the Britishers have extended their empire, but they cannot be described as Chakravarti. There are many nations that do not accept British supremacy. They are independent. Even the gods serve Ravana. But what did Ravana come to? He was destroyed by his own pride. There was no one to offer him even a drop of water. A man may commit any sin, but he must never behave arrogantly. Then you must have read about Lucifer. He was cast out of heaven because of his pride. You have passed only one class, but that has turned your head. If you give yourself such airs, then it isn't likely you will do well in future. You must realize that you succeeded this time because luck favored you and not because of your efforts. It was blind luck, but luck can favor you only once, not always. You might occasionally strike the billet well in a game of tip cat, but that doesn't make you a good player. A good player is one who is always strikes well. Don't draw conclusions from my failure. When you reach my grade, you will realize the enormity of the task. You will then find that algebra and geometry are hard nuts to crack. And then you will have to study the history of England. It is not easy to remember the names of the kings. There were 8 kings Henrys. And do you think it is easy to remember what occurred during the reign of each Henry? If by mistake you write Henry 8 in place of Henry 7, all you get is a big zero. There were several James, Williams, and Charles. The head starts spinning when you try to recall what you read. These miserable people couldn't even think up new names. They just went about affixing Roman numerals at the end of the same name. If they had only asked me, I would have suggested a million names for the kings. And geometry. If you write ACB in place of ABC, you lose all your marks. No one dares to ask these examiners as to what it is the difference between ACB and ABC. If you eat dal bhat roti, it is different from eating dal bhat roti. The students are unnecessarily tortured for trivial reasons. The examiners want the students to learn by rote. The students are expected to put on papers exactly what they have read in books. And this learning by rote is education. You were asked to write a 4-page essay on punctuality. Who does not know that punctuality is very important? Everyone knows that time is of essence. A person who is punctual is disciplined. He is respected by the society. He does well in life. But how can you write 4 pages on such a subject? Where is the need to write 4 pages when you can describe the importance of punctuality in one sentence? This is ridiculous. It isn't valuing time. Rather, it is waste of time. It is unfair on the students, and ironically, you are asked to write the essay in brief. Their brief means 4 pages. Else they would have made you write 100 to 200 pages. It is like asking you to run fast and at the same time run slow. Isn't this conflicting? You will have to face this ordeals when you reach my level, dear brother. You have scored good marks in the lower class and floating in the air. Listen to me, I might have failed, but I am older than you and have much more experience of life. Pay attention to what I say, else you will regret later in life. I was nearing school time, otherwise the lecture would have continued much longer. I did not enjoy the food. It felt tasteless. In this was treatment that was meted to me even after I had passed. Probably I would have to pay with my life if I failed. The picture that elder brother drew of the education system scared me. It was a wonder that I didn't run away from school in fear. Yet in spite of all these advices, my aversion for books remained the same. I never lost any opportunity to rush to the playground. I studied very little, on only that much which allowed me to complete the task so that I was not humiliated in the class. The confidence that I had gained evaporated, and once again I fell back to my timid ways. It was time again for the annual examinations. Again I passed, and again elder brother failed, and I had worked very hard but yet stood first. I was surprised myself. Brother had worked really very hard. He had read his books word for word, studied till 10 p.m., resumed his studies immediately after waking up at 4 a.m., took a break for brushing, bathing, breakfast, and then picked up his books once again and remained glued to them till 9:30 a.m. When it was time to go to school, he was worn out after all the hard work. But despite all the hard work, my unlucky brother failed. When the results were declared, he burst into tears. I felt such a rush of pity for him that I also could not control my tears. Probably brother would not have failed so bad if I had failed. But who has control over destiny? Only one grace separated elder brother from me now. A wicked thought came to my mind. If brother failed again, then we would be in the same class and would be in no position to humiliate me anymore. But I forced the thought out of my mind. After all, he scolded me for my own good, and I might feel bad when he scolded me. But it is probably owing to his advice that I had been passing with good marks. Brother became somewhat mild. There were several occasions when he had an opportunity to scold me, but he did not do so. Perhaps he had come to realize that he no longer held any authority to reprimand me, or if he did have any authority, it was only to a lesser extent. I started taking advantage of this leniency. I had to come believe that my fate was strong and I would pass whether I studied or not. I stopped studying even the little that I used to study earlier out of fear. I developed a new body of flying kites, and most of my time was spent in the pursuit of that hobby. But our respected brother still and flew kites only after making sure he was nowhere near. All the time, all the little difficulties associated with the kite flying, like making the manja kite string, bridling the kite, and preparing for tournaments, were resolved secretly. I did not wish to convey to elder brother that my respect for him had diminished even a wee bit. One evening, far away from the hostel, I was chasing a free flying kite that had been caught in a kite fight. In a kite fight, my eyes were lifted up to the sky and my mind was focused to the sky traveler. The kite drifted lazily towards its doom like some nonchalant soul descending from heaven to take up a new role on earth. A whole army of children with long sticks in hand chased it. Unconscious of everything else, it was as if the children were flying in the air. Alongside the kite, where there were no cars, trams, and vehicles. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel, like, share, and press the bell icon. Have a good day.